Craig Zimmerman in the zone here, number 80. And we welcome a local guy in, Chris Rinehart. Thank you for coming in, Chris.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Chris, as I mentioned before we started, there's no trick questions. There's not going to be a test afterwards. A lot of people know you as the athletic director of Marine City High School. And a lot of people probably don't know that you were born and raised in Richmond.
Yeah.
So let's start with born and raised.
Well, I actually was born and raised. I began in Fraser until I was 9 or 10 years old, and that's when we moved out to Casco, and that's when I went through the Richmond School District, just like you mentioned.
And you went to school, so you went through middle school and high school?
Middle school and high school and Richmond Community Schools, yeah.
Okay. Tell us about, you played athletics?
I did. I was a 4-year, 3-sport athlete. I played football, basketball, and I ran track.
Okay. So who did you play football for?
I played football for Glen News.
Okay. Because they've had 3 or 4 good coaches in the last 20 so years. Who are your other coaches?
Mark Ladd was the defensive coordinator. He was the assistant. Longtime wrestling coach. George Hamlin was my JV football coach. Okay. So there were some big names in the program.
Okay. And graduated from Richmond High School when?
In 1998.
Okay.
In 1998.
So you go to Richmond, we'll say just like the East China schools, a fairly rural school of the day. You graduate from a rural school of Richmond High, and you decide to do what after that?
I went to Adrian for a year, Adrian College. I played football and ran track at Adrian for a year. Then I realized how expensive it was going to be after 4 years of schooling, and I transferred to Wayne State. And I went there for 4 years, and I also played football there.
Okay. And what years did you play football there?
I played football there 99 through 01.
Now, I think we talked about this a year or two ago, but did you play with my nephew, Kyle?
I played with Kyle, yeah. Okay. There were a few Marine City grads on the team. Brett Workin team and Dave Donaldson. Yeah, and Dave Donaldson were on the team as well.
Okay. You know, it's a small world when you get talking about that kind of stuff. So you went to Wayne State. They've got the football field right there on I-94 and the Lodge Freeway right there. How does it change going from a small town Richmond to an inner city school like that?
It was different. It took some time getting used to. Having classes of 200-300 people coming from Richmond, where my max class may have 20 students in it.
Sure.
It was some adjusting.
Okay. What position in football?
I played all offensive line positions. I started off as a tackle, and then I moved to center, and then I moved to guard. So I was all amongst the 5 O-line positions.
Okay. So let me ask a question about that, because that's always a question like, you go to high school football, and just in typical format, the quarterback, the running back, a wide receiver tends to get the accolades. How is it from a mental perspective playing the position of offensive line? Tell me about it. I enjoyed it. I knew that I wasn't going to get the ink in the paper, but I enjoyed the gritty aspect of being an offensive lineman, knowing what I needed to do and physically trying to take advantage of somebody and get them out of the play. I enjoyed it. I started off as a tight end in high school, and I didn't think I was going to like being moved into the interior 5, but I enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. I coached it after I graduated as well. The other thing that I think any good coaching team puts together is the fact that they let the linemen know and understand that the lineman's role is as important as the running back's role. And everybody can see that typically with the scenario of whether a team is good or not, usually starts right there at the front line.
It does. It starts in the trenches.
Yeah.
It's and that's why I feel like you'll see running backs at the next level, or professional running backs who are the first individuals they thank when they have a great game.
Right.
Is the interior 5, and that's where it's starting.
Now, how much of a memorization skill is it to go from, say, a center to a guard or a tackle position or back and forth?
It was. There was some learning involved, obviously, but running zone offenses at the collegiate level, it was a lot of combo blocks. So I was hip to hip with somebody else trying to get to the next level. So it wasn't too much of a learning curve, but the game looks different from the different positions. You see it differently as you're coming off the line and moving to the next level. It makes it makes it look a little different.
Okay. So then you go to college and do you get a degree in teaching, or what do you get a degree in?
I did. I knew I was going to be a teacher right off the bat.
Okay.
As soon as I went to college. I was moving towards being a biology teacher, and I sat down with an advisor, and we were looking at the courses I was going to need to take. And when my advisor pulled it out, I said, can I see the pre-med program? And it was very similar. And that's when I looked into a different route, and I moved into the phys ed. I used those courses and those credits to get a degree in health, a minor in health, and a major in physical education. But I knew I was going to be a teacher right off the bat.
Okay. So you graduated from Wayne State University in what year?
2004, I finished my student teaching,
Okay.
yes.
And from there, where's your first job teaching?
I taught in South Lake Schools in St. Clair Shores for about 10 years before I moved into administration. I actually taught with the principal at Marine City High School. Sherry Becker was a teacher there, and the principal at St. Clair High School, Dave Maru, was a teacher there. So we all taught together. It was a lot of fun.
What grade did you teach at that point?
I started in the elementary school.
Okay.
I was an elementary PE teacher for 8 years, I believe. And then I bounced around from middle school to high school, teaching health and phys ed at the middle school and the high school level. It was kind of nice seeing those students, having them in kindergarten in phys,
a little older,
and seeing them move through to middle school and high school students. It was a lot of fun.
Did you prefer one or the other as far as being in which classroom?
Honestly, when I first started the coursework in college, I really thought I was going to be a high school teacher. And then I did my student teaching in Troy, in an elementary school in Troy, and I liked it so much I started looking for jobs in elementary school.
Okay.
You're a rock star, and it
Right.
was a lot of fun, and so I purposely looked for positions in elementary school after my experience in student teaching.
Okay. So then you teach for 8 or so years in South Lake. You went into, what was your first position in administration?
After 8 or so years, I believe it was, I moved into a Dean of Students district-wide AD position in South Lake. I had that for a year, and then I really missed being in the classroom. So I asked them if I could move back into the classroom, and I was a half-time PE teacher in elementary school, and I was also the district-wide AD along with that for 2 years.
Okay. Does that mean you're dealing with all the problems that arise in a school when you're assistant principal and
Yes,
academic?
yeah. It's a similar role. Dean of Students is similar role to being an assistant principal. I mainly dealt with discipline,
Okay.
but it was a very similar role to what I have now.
Okay. So then you're in that role in St. Clair Shores. Did you call them or did they call you?
Who's
from
that?
East China.
Well, actually, I moved after I was, for those 10 years, I went to be an assistant principal and an AD at Richmond High School.
Okay.
So,
yeah, you're right.
so I moved over there and took a similar role. And yes, they did call me when that position was open. I had some friends within the district that called me and said, hey, this position is open, and I applied for it.
So roughly speaking, how old were you at the time that you went back to Richmond?
I was probably 35.
Okay. Now, now that you're dealing with, say, kids that are 14, 15, 16, you probably knew quite a few of the families.
I did.
Okay.
I did. I knew a lot of the families. I still had to take the time to build relationships with students, and it made it a little easier knowing they say, hey, I know I played football with your dad, or your mom and I graduated together. Made it a little easier, but it was still a transition.
Were there any situations that made it tougher, though, because you knew so many people?
It did. Okay. Sometimes, unfortunately, I would have parents that would say, hey, we know each other, like, can we make this change? Like, no, that's not necessarily how it works.
Okay. So you're at Richmond High School for how long?
I was there for 6 years.
Okay. And then you come to East China.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And was that basically the same position, basically just at a different school?
It was.
Okay.
It was. My role changed after 2 years at Richmond. I was the district-wide buildings and grounds coordinator, and I also was the school safety coordinator along with the district-wide AD. So that was for a couple of years. as well after the AP/AD role.
I can only imagine that's a wide-ranging title.
That was a
Explain what you do with that.
I was in charge of anything if something went down in one of the buildings, if I would have to call individuals to come out, get work done, landscaping services. With the school safety piece was along the lines of lockdown drills and fire drills, and I would go to those buildings when they'd run their drills and make sure that they were running them correctly.
Problems with baseball fields, softball fields, football fields?
All fell under my umbrella.
Okay. I mean, and obviously, you know, that kind of stuff goes unnoticed in a lot of cases, other than the person that's handling it, right? And then, you know, so you're dealing with, I was somewhere recently, or no, was it, or did I hear about it? Wasn't there a softball game this year where the sprinkler system went off?
I'm not sure.
I heard a story about that. The sprinkler system went off at the beginning or middle of an inning, you know, and that is something you might laugh about, but somebody that's in charge of something like that, that was no laughing matter. You got to get the word it's shut off, who turned the clock wrong, or, you know, there's so many things that go into processes like that that you almost have to think on like a grid system of what you're going to do. Such information like, okay, you got a sprinkling system maybe on a softball field, and the power went out yesterday for 3 hours. Well, that means that sprinkling system is going to come on whether it's 3 hours late or whatever it might be. So all kinds of situations like that.
It was challenging, but it was fun. It was a fun challenge.
Now, Richmond did not have turf when you were there, correct?
The turf was brought in while I was there. I was part of the bond project.
Okay. That has to make it somewhat easier for whoever's handling the facility, I would think.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're not having to worry about water and grass or condition of field in September, October.
Cutting grass, lining, all of those items go away.
Okay. So you come over to East China Schools, and you are the assistant principal and athletic director? Okay.
Yep.
How have things changed, say, in that school, just like a Richmond and a St. Clair, where the population isn't as large as it used to be? Do you notice much difference?
I don't notice much difference. I would say that the schools are very similar in the population size, in the student population. I'd say it's very similar to Richmond.
And some of it probably isn't much different, because when we had maybe 830 students, you probably had an assistant principal in charge of athletics, and then one that handles the discipline.
Yeah.
So
it'll look a little different the bigger the school is.
Now, there's a lot going on at Marine City High School. Let's ask the question about the entrances are changing. Is there going to be much changing when school opens in September?
The athletic entrance will be on the east side near the band room, right off the student parking lot there. A lot of individuals are used to going to that set of 4 doors.
Back behind?
Yes, back behind the building in the alleyway there. But so that'll look a little different. But there's a lot of work going on in the gym, so that a lot of, when spectators come in, they'll see the differences.
So you'll still walk in by the south end of the pool into the gym?
Yes, the entrance right between the pool and the band room, there's a set of double doors there. That will be the new athletic entrance moving forward.
So it's not going to be the one at the total south end of the building?
It won't be. Okay. It won't be, so it's going to change.
Will those doors still be there?
Those doors will still be there, yeah.
Okay, but they'll be locked?
They'll be locked, and you won't be able to enter those at games.
So you'll enter in the middle of that, so to be next, it's off the hallway that abuts right up to the pool?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So then when you're walking in that door, you walk totally to the west, you walk into the hallway, and then the office will be at the middle of the hallway.
Yeah, the office is right there, and that's will actually be the new entryway going into the gym. That's where we'll have our ticket takers and such. We'll be in the hallway right next to the new showcases by the new main office.
So we'll ask the question, if you're coming in off by the pool, or you come in the main entrance, is the office going to be in the center of that area there, where it can go to either direction?
Say it again?
Because you can come in from the north side. What are you going to call that, the main entrance then?
Yes, the main entrance will be that main athletic entrance will be those doors between the band and the pool.
Okay. And then what about on the other side coming off Ward Street where the circle?
Oh,
that's
where the main office, that's the entryway into the main office.
Okay.
So that will not be open, just those doors between the band and the pool.
So
band room and
when
the pool.
people show up in September, are they going to use the new small horseshoe?
Yes, yep,
Okay. So if they're going to go to the office, they're going to go off Ward Street?
yes,
Okay.
yep,
Let's go around the building then.
yeah.
How about to the horseshoe that they're tearing out right now off King Road where all the buses come?
That's going to be strictly bus entrance.
Okay.
So students that are going to tech or going to the Innovation Center will get picked up and dropped off in that loop.
So parents that may have come by and used that to park and go in will not come in that door then?
They will not. They'll have to come in the ward entrance.
Okay. So just so I can frame it, maybe people that watch this know. So you're going to have to either park in this small horseshoe on Ward Street or you park where all the student parking is and walk up the sidewalk.
Yes, the student lot will be the fastest way into the new athletic entrance, yes.
Okay. And technically speaking then, the old office off of the big horseshoe will not be accessible.
It will not be accessible, no.
Okay. Let's go down another thing there. So at least as of the other day, we're now talking 4th of July week, just in case anybody wants to know. Last week they were tearing down the wings of the middle school.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that because I've seen some things, and I'm not a big social media person, but people questioning that. And my answer is that process has been going on for probably 5 years, so it's nothing new. Everybody that knew about what was going on at the school,
Yeah.
that the western wing of the middle school is gone, the southern wing is gone. So is there going, I'm assuming, but I'll ask you, I'm assuming there's going to be an entrance to get into the middle school off of the horseshoe?
So the middle school and the high school secretaries are all located in the new main office.
Okay.
So everybody comes in those front doors off of Ward Street.
Okay.
And the middle school has their own wing on the south side of the building, of the old high school
Right, it'd
building.
be just on the north side of the gym, the
Yes.
middle school gym.
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
So that whole wing is where middle school classrooms are,
Yeah.
and then the gym will be there. The cafeteria will still be there.
Cafeteria is all redone.
and the
and still there,
vestibule
yeah.
will still be there.
The vestibule, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I believe, I'm not positive, the bond projects started before I arrived
Right.
and took the position. But I believe those doors over there by the gym, the old middle school entrance, may be used as an athletic entrance for middle school events.
For the gym.
Yes.
Makes sense. This may be a stumper. I told you there'd be no stumpers, but will the library still be in the middle school where it is now?
It is not.
Okay.
That is going to be it is being redone to be a new STEAM room, a technology-based classroom where students learn technology
Okay.
and science, and they build different things of that nature in the STEAM room, and that's all going to be in that old media center area.
Is that one classroom then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I was the first class in that building, and I remember exactly the layout of the whole scenario
Yep.
there. And so, will there be any additional parking, or will the parking lot still be where the middle school parking? I heard that there's going to be a baseball field. over there.
There's been talks, and again, that was before my time
Right.
at Marine City High School. I believe that a JV baseball field is supposed to go up over there, and some renovations are going to be done on the varsity field. But I'm not positive what that looks like right now.
My guess would be, based upon timing and everything else, I doubt that that's going to be ready for spring. It's just my guess.
Yeah, I don't believe
Because
so.
there's a lot of construction going on to take the old building out. I'm assuming that they're going to have the same parking lot at where the middle school was? or
Yes,
not? Okay.
yes. That lot's all going to be redone.
Okay. Lots of activity there. I think we got her covered.
Yeah,
So if somebody's coming to the school, I'm going to restate it.
yeah.
Ward Street is the place to park and go in.
I would park, because that
Student.
entrance is on the east side of the building.
Correct.
So I would park in the student lot. If you park in the loop by Ward Street,
There's only
those
like
main
12
office doors,
spots.
yeah, those main office doors are not going to be unlocked, and you're going to have to walk all the way around the opposite side of the building. So I would park in the student lot, and the new entryway labeled Marine City Mariners and lit up. That will be the new athletic entrance, and we'll go in those doors.
Okay. Now, not that you have any control over what will or won't get done this summer, but I'm assuming that it's not all going to be completed this summer.
The majority of it will.
Okay.
When we start school, the majority of it will be done. Obviously, there'll be punch lists that the construction company will have to go through and clean things up.
Sure.
But the majority of it is supposed to be done when we start school in September.
Now, is there? I'm guessing that somebody's putting together some sort of diagram and explanation so that parents will get an email explaining this.
I'm sure something will go out. Yes.
Okay. Maybe that's up to Craig Headley in his department to put out in his department. I wanted to bring up another question that's I'll say often talked about, and we don't expect to get clarity on an answer, but a lot of people ask the question, why isn't Marine City and or St. Clair in the BWAC conference? Now, the one I've always heard of is that one of the issues is that BWAC does not have pools, so they don't have diving, they don't have swimming, which creates a problem. St. Clair and Marine City both have both of those.
Yeah.
So that's one of the issues?
Yeah, it would be challenging,
Okay.
because they also don't offer lacrosse in the BWAC. So
Okay.
to build a schedule outside of your conference all by
Right.
yourself makes it difficult. That's one piece that I believe that I'm not sure that the BWAC or that Marine City and St. Clair would move to the BWAC.
Sure. And the other thing would be the competition standpoint. You join a league like the BWAC and you're playing then, which I do like the fact that you'd play Algonac and you play Richmond, because that's always been rivalries over the years. But the issue is you don't really want to play teams too often, right?
Yeah, and you don't want to see local area teams sometimes twice in basketball and then see them again in the district, because that's the local area teams are all similar size and play in the same division. You may see them in the district, you may see them in the regional moving forward, and that's challenging to try to beat somebody three times, and it can be difficult. So I think that the coaches were unsure of that piece.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's a 2 or 3 part answer on that. Some people, you go so far back to the old SCAL League, St. Clair Area League, and that was a good league. And back, we played the Port Huron teams back in those days. We played even Anchor Bay when Anchor Bay was smaller. It's one of those things that just gets talked about, I think, because, and you will notice it at football games. You sit here and you're playing a Warren Woods or you're playing a Roseville, and you look across and you count them, and there's 32 people over there.
Yeah.
And you go, if we were playing Richmond or we're playing Algonac, the crowd would be so much bigger.
It's a different feel.
Yeah. I have noticed in recent years we played Port Huron and Port Huron Northern in a lot of sports more often, and that's always a good thing. Any other news going on at Marine City High School we need to discuss?
I don't think any news at this point.
Okay. So the one question I didn't ask exactly, but when you decided to be a teacher, was it something in high school that sparked your interest or in college?
Honestly, we spoke a little bit about being a 3-sport athlete. It was my coaches.
Okay.
I had fabulous coaches at Richmond, and seeing the fun that they had during the school day and the fun that they had during practices and games, I realized that it was something that I wanted to do.
And they even pay you for it.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And I know how they touched my life, and I wanted to have that opportunity to do that as well. And it is a fantastic feeling to get a phone call from a former athlete and just to talk and say hello and ask them how you're doing, and it's a good feeling. And I enjoyed it, and I knew I was going to do it my junior year in high school, probably.
Oh, that's good. The one thing that sort of gets overlooked until we bring it up in a subject is the fact that how lucky you are. Some people may look at living in a Richmond or a Marine City or a St. Clair or a Marysville or Algonac. Oh, it's these little towns, there's not much to do. But there's also positive sides of that. And you look at it, I've said this many times, you look at the amount of coaches in this, I'll call it Blue Water area. And you can go from, Port Huron Northern to Port Huron High to Marysville, all of them. And there's great coaches in all of them.
Yeah.
First thing I think of when I think of Richmond, I think of Howard Stewart and the program he's done for the last, I'm going to say 40 years, maybe more.
Oh, I think it's over 45, I believe, at this point.
And then and I'm not into some of these sports, but you can't not recognize some of the stuff that goes on. Then George Hamlin, wouldn't he be the godfather of wrestling?
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know how many state championships they won, but several, many.
Yeah.
You go to Elginak, and there's gentlemen down there, and I'm going to be bad on names, but the track coach been there for like 30, 40 years.
Oh, yeah, Paul Schaefer.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Marine City, you got the Tony Scarcelli's, the Ron Glodiches, the Bob Siskevich. And even more so then, you got Marv Osterlund doing softball. You go to St. Clair, Fred Shaw. You can name, several of these coaches that have gone on. Tony Monty. They're legends in their sport, right?
They are.
You go to Marysville, you go to John Knuth, you go Paul Jackson back in the day. There's another, Walt Braun, obviously.
Yeah.
And there's a few more that are on tip of my thoughts, but I can't think of them right now. You go to Port Huron, same thing. You got Jameson's, what they got going on in basketball. And every one of these schools gets touched by that. And I think the one thing I've noticed too is that, and you're part of this as far as the administration goes, and maybe I've mentioned it before, but some of this stuff, every school's a little different. Maybe so-and-so's on a run, another team's on a run in a different sport. Like I mentioned, Richmond softball, Richmond wrestling. Those are stalwarts. Marine City football, St. Clair basketball, St. Clair baseball. I would say and guess that it's very good in a timing matter that Marine City football has been so strong, and that leads you into the beginning of the year.
It does. It does.
It
changes the culture of the building, honestly.
Yeah.
When you have a strong football program, it does set a tone, and it leads you into a more positive school year.
Yeah, and I think it's that timing thing of you're getting your year off started solid, and then it's bang, bang, bang. You're in a sort of a good mood type of thing.
Yeah. It's a culture changer. When your football program is doing well, it leads you into even the following athletic seasons. Not only that, but it changes. It makes the school year more fun, and those Friday assemblies and homecoming, and it changes the climate and the culture of the building.
Yep. A couple things we missed here. We got to talk about the family, mother, father, siblings first, and then you got to get into your boss. So tell me about your upbringing.
I have one brother. My parents were involved in my life, living in Casco. One brother, he followed the same route that I did, and I'm assuming that it's probably due to the coaches and the teachers that he had as well. But he's a coach, he's a football coach, a head football coach at Lakeview High School on the west side of the state.
Okay.
But one brother, and both my parents were actively involved in my life.
Okay. And tell me about your boss at home and your children.
Yes, I have a wife. We've been married for 20 years, just June 5th. And I have a son and a daughter. My daughter just graduated from Richmond, and my son will be a freshman at Marine City next year.
Tell me about that process. It's, you hear about it once in a while, but the son decides to follow his father to go to school across town. Tell me about it.
He really liked the thought of being with his dad in school. And when I left to Marine City, we had that conversation. I said, would you be interested? And he was interested, and he was interested in staying.
So how did it look from the perspective of, did he just automatically enroll, or did he come with you to see some sporting events and get a feel for it?
We enrolled him, and he came over.
So he came over in 8th grade.
He came over, the beginning of 8th grade.
And so he's going into 9th grade this fall, and he's going to be part of the football program.
Yep, and I believe he's talking about basketball and baseball as well.
Okay, good deal. I think we covered a lot. Appreciate you coming in. We're going to be going into football season, and then the girls' sports in the fall, volleyball,
cross country for both boys and girls. We have our United boys soccer team with Cardinal Mooney, the football team, like we spoke about. But I'm excited. August 12th, we kick it off. Will be the first day of practices that practices can start, and I look forward to a good season.
Okay. Thanks for coming in, Chris.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you know of anybody else that we can interview, my number generally thrown up on the screen. There it is. Paul Dingaman puts it up there, 586-707-5811. And we thank you for watching In the Zone, number 80, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you.